numesc Ana Munteanu. Sunt stabilită în București, în România, din 2016. Odată ce am fost cunoscută pentru tehnica mea de desene cu nisip, fiind finalistă la România au Talent.
My name is Burson. I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. I just turned 75 years old, and I've been tattooing 54 years. I started in 1971.
I'm Randy Engelhardt. I'm from Germany, and I'm tattooing now almost 25 years. I'm specially make realistic tattoos, like color realistic and black and gray realistic.
My style of tattooing is it's all black and gray. I pretty much specialize in photorealism, portraits of people, animals, anything photorealistic. Where I work from photos. And then the other thing I can do is like custom horror imagery. I'm a huge horror fan, so I love anything horror related. Skulls are kind of a specialty that I do a lot.
I especially work just in realistic and hyper-realistic stuff. I like to mix it with some special stuff what comes in my head. It's not like really my special own design what I do. But I grew up with learning the realistic. I was one of the first artists in Germany. He created up like color realistic stuff. Not create up, but I did it a lot in Germany, and this was my special thing. I don't want to grow, or I don't want to find a new style that I say, oh, this is my style. You can even see my technique in the tattoos. This is the main important thing, but I still like to tattoo realistic stuff.
Well, if someone is really into tattooing and dark stuff, they see my work, they will see, okay, this is made by Victor, kind of signature in my work, I mean, I like to work with certain elements, like a high contrast, textures, the light, the drop shadows, 3D elements.
My work is kind of different because I never really know what I'm going to do until the client shows up in the chair. When the client makes an appointment, he comes to me and give me like a rough description of what he wants, and I just do the freehand on it, But it's like mostly because some people try to convert their feeling into something more dark, maybe. And that's why my shop's called Autopsy. It's like autopsy of the mind, if you want. And it's just I'm trying to do the best I can to give them what they want. So of course, like some other people are gonna react differently looking at the tattoo, But as long as the client is happy, that's what matters.
I prefer actually that the clients bring me a theme, just a theme, and then I create a piece of art or whatever they want for the body part they want to get tattooed. It's just if it's like portraits of some family members or dogs or whatever, then I for sure using the reference and the pictures what they bring me, but even there I start doing my own style on it. Because for me it's really important in the end that the client looks like my artwork, that you can even see, this is a piece of Randy Engelhardt. This is for me the most important thing in the end, that I do my own thing.
Well, I kind of look for people that were drawn to the art I do, which is just a gesture anymore. But I've got a master's degree in fine arts. I went to college 6 years. I majored in sculpture. But I mean, the work's phenomenal, this new stuff they're doing, like photorealism. But a lot of it won't hold up. It'll fade over time. It really needs a black outline around it. Those will stay till you're an old man or old woman. But the artwork's beautiful. You can't beat the art.
Well, I can say that my way of procedure is basically in drawing skills, I'm drawing and I want to draw more and more. Actually, I want to tattoo less and drawing more and paint, Because that's the key, in my opinion, the way that I can be creative if I'm drawing, When I'm not drawing, I can kind of block myself, I'm repeating myself sometimes, When that happens, I say, oh, okay, alarm, red flag is like, hey, I'm repeating myself, it's like, I need to draw.
It's pretty hard to get inspired every single day, but it's so much fun, and I don't know, it's like my brain has been trained to to find ideas like always on the spot, 5 minutes, you know, like it's like really quick for me now. So at some point it can get really hard depending on how you are, you know, like your mood or whatever, but usually like it's a natural thing for me just to create on the spot. I don't really force myself anymore. Yeah, and mostly like working with people also is like a teamwork. When my client comes, they have the idea, so I don't really need to find an idea, I just need to draw it.
So, but when I do photorealism, I'm working off a photo. So it could be like a celebrity, you know, or you know, a family member, somebody, or musicians, stuff like that. So I make a stencil on paper, like a line drawing, and then put that on the skin, and then when I do the tattoo, it's all by looking at the picture to do all the shading and the values. So I'm going back and forth, look at the picture, and you know, the stencil itself is just like a line drawing, just kind of like a blueprint. But all the shading's done by looking at the photo as I tattoo it.
Sometimes I use maybe more than 20 pictures for maybe one full arm, full leg tattoos or something, and I make a compositions. And when you check it, the composition, you don't see if this project is not one picture, you know? So I think this is not a secret, this is the thing what we can do.
And then when I do like custom horror stuff, sometimes I'll draw it right on the skin with like a ballpoint pen and Sharpies and stuff, sketch it on the skin, and then tattoo it.
Lately, I've seen that many people is doing a lot of like a digital or AI stuff, you know, which one is fine. Me too, I'm using like a tool sometimes for reference, but the drawing part is something that many people skip, you know, and it's something, man, that you really need to go into this. You cannot skip that part, you know, the drawing part, you know. So the future of the tattoo for me is basically the drawing, you know, and the painting. If your proposition is original, that's it.
Și am gândit o schiță alb-negru care să includă o tematică care poate fi perfect tatuată pe un spate sau pe o mână și să o dezvolt într-un tablou artistic. După ce am făcut schița, am transpus-o pe formatul acesta pe care îl avem aici, care este 150 pe 110 cm, și am început să prelucrez tonal. Sigur că multe elemente sunt aici surprize pentru mine, pentru că inițial în schiță am gândit doar părțile mari, iar cu detalii de tot genul o să intervin pe parcurs pe măsură ce reușesc, pentru că totuși este o ședință de live drawing de 3 zile, care este destul de copleșitoare pentru mine.
Tatuajele reale sunt astea pe piele, care le vezi acum. Tot ce se vede prin prisma internetului, asta am constatat eu când erau revistele. Lumea tatuajului știa din reviste. Revista este un produs printat, unde imaginea e preluată cu o cameră, trecută printr-un computer și după aceea prin print. Și care ajunge la mine ceva cu tot diferit. Exact la fel acum, tatuajele sunt percepute prin intermediul Instagramului sau Facebook-ului. Ecranul telefonului în general e pătrat, Instagramul e pătrat. Mulți oameni gândesc în pătrat și pun modelul pe piele, focusându-se pe partea care va ieși în evidență pe telefon. Corpul omenesc e lung. Eu consider că tatuajul trebuie abordat și proiectat acolo să arate bine pe client.
My client, they give me like pretty much like a good freedom. They just give me like a description of what they want, and most of the time they show me tattoos that I already done, but I never really do like the same tattoos twice. So I need to kind of go around the idea and just make something personal, because I never tattoo twice the same piece.
La prima vedere pare că avem de-a face aici cu o simetrie, dar de fapt nu, sunt forme multe intercalate care ne permit să facem o impresie de simetrie, dar în același timp să ajustăm la specificul ornamentului fiecare parte a tabloului. Apropo, o chestie foarte importantă în tatuaj, pentru că omul este imperfect, spre exemplu, atunci când vrei să gândești o compoziție pentru spatele unui om, știi foarte bine că omoplații sunt fie sus, fie unul mai sus, unul mai jos, poate să fie coloana vertebrală un pic mai strâmbă. Omul nu este perfect, omul este perfect prin imperfecțiunea lui. Și atunci când aplici genul acesta de ornamente, îți permite să-i egalizezi cumva omoplații, să-l faci simetric prin asimetrie.
Anatomia trebuie să lucreze în mână în mână cu tatuajul. Că nu poți să iei o lucrare, să o arunci acolo, să o plitezi, să o pui acolo pe piele direct, pentru că nu se va potrivi. Adică îți dai seama că vorbim de o imagine plană pe care noi vrem să o suprapunem pe o zonă care în prima fază este conică, nu-i plană deloc și care se mai și mișcă, dacă știi fiecare mușchi unde este, ai o idee despre anatomia omului, anatomia poate să devină prietenul tău și să faci un tatuaj să capete viață. Deci, uite cum văd eu lucrurile. Ne uităm la un om tatuat de la distanță, da? Deci nu înțelegem, nu vedem ce tatuaj are, exact ca și o haină, dar îi stă bine, ne vedem că îi stă bine, e echilibrat, se potrivește, e pus unde trebuie, nu-i pus o imagine lată pe o zonă lungă sau invers. Asta e primul test, da? Ne uităm, arată bine. Ne apropiem un pic mai mult, observăm niște contraste, începem să distingem despre ce e vorba. E vorba de un ornament, e vorba de un animal, e vorba de un portret. După care când ajungem la distanța asta la care, să zicem, a fost făcut sau începem să deținem detaliile. Ăștia sunt cei 3 pași, cele 3 etape, de evaluare și într-un concurs și în viața reală.
To me, American traditional tattoos, it's one of the oldest forms of tattooing next to Japanese tattooing. So American traditional tattooing takes some of the fundamentals of, traditional Japanese tattooing. To me, there's a formula for American traditional tattooing. There's a good amount of black. Black is a really good, solid foundation for American traditional. There's a certain amount of color and certain colors too, they're not going to be the purples and things like that. You're going to have the reds, blues, greens, those traditional solid, base colors. And also you want a good amount of open skin. If you know how to do good American traditional tattooing, you can use the open skin as a good highlight area. Essentially, it turns into another color in the skin because you saturate all the other colors and the shading, that the actual open skin acts as a really good highlight.
Back when I started tattooing, when I was doing my first portraits and stuff, pretty much everybody was just doing portraits in black and gray. And there were very few people doing color portraits. But over the years, people started doing photorealism in color more and more. And it got really popular. And now, color realism is really popular, But I only do black and gray myself. I think right now color and black and gray realism, it's pretty equal. Each style is probably just as popular as the other.
Eu personal iubesc culorile și consider că, ca și stabilitate în timp, nu e o diferență foarte mare între alb, negru și color. Culorile nu sunt pentru toată lumea. Dacă ai un ten mai închis, nu vor fi atât de evidente, dar nu e imposibil de purtat. Însă culorile presupun un proces de lucru un pic mai lung și o întreținere de-a lungul timpului mai delicată, adică trebuie să te ferești mai mult de soare decât cu negru. Are putere mare de acoperire. Culorile deschise, dacă te bronzezi și dacă arzi pielea în mod constant, ele se vor duce.
So this is the second time I've been to the Bucharest Tattoo Convention. Last time I was here was right before the pandemic, and I was also a judge back then. I was part of the jury. When I judge tattoos, I look at a lot of different factors in the tattoos. Cleanliness of the tattoo, like I said earlier, readability of the tattoo, composition, and then I look at how the artist hits the skin too. If it's too beat up or too heavy, that's something that's a factor that I look at as a judge as far as the application and how they treat the tissue and how they can actually put the color and the shading in the skin. So on top of that, I look at color solidity. Smoothness of shading, line work. To me, being a traditional American tattoo artist, I like to look at the line work. Not just like one line weight, but multiple different, like a thinner outline, some bolder outlines. So a lot of that I look at. I also look at originality of the tattoos. If people are pulling certain tricks and new ways of tattooing, that always catches my eye too. So when I judge tattoos, I've always told other tattoo artists, you personally become a better tattoo artist being a judge because you get to get up right on the new tattoos and the new techniques of the younger generation and new styles and things like that. So I look at all that when I'm judging, and it reflects on me, helps me grow as an artist, and that's pretty much what I look at.
Din punctul meu de vedere, primul criteriu de evaluare este testul timpului. Adică mă uit să văd, ăsta va rămâne ceva din el. Cum va arăta peste 5 ani, cum va arăta peste 10 ani, peste 15 ani sau mai mult, că va fi poate nevoie să fie retușat. Se poate face lucrul ăsta sau trebuie acoperit?
For portrait work, there's one that stands out when people ask me if I can only pick like one portrait I've done. It's my favorite. But I did this one Willie Nelson portrait that a lot of people have talked to me about how they love that one tattoo, and it is one of my best portraits I think that I've done. And it's just a really good picture of Willie Nelson. It was a really high-res photo, which makes a big difference, you know, in how the tattoo comes out. The better the picture, the better the photo, the better the tattoo's going to come out. So I had a great photo reference. I had really good skin to work on, because there's different skin types. You know, there's some people have skin that's not that great to work on. Some people have really good skin.
Nu vorbim de oameni care au piele uscată, piele grasă, coș. Pe corp, pielea e diferită. Aici, față de aici, pe picioare, pe zonele subaxilare, toate zonele astea, cotul, genunchiele, mâna, între degete se lucrează altfel decât pe pumn, în palmă este altfel. Inclusiv procedura de imprimare a pigmentului, ca și aftercare-ul și îngrijirea este totalmente diferită pe zonele corpului. Astea trebuie foarte bine luate în calcul când începem să lucrăm, și ca timp de lucru și ca durere, pentru că pe oase se lucrează altfel decât pe piele. Dacă un om are un strat adipos mai puternic, se lucrează un pic mai greu decât pe unul care are tonus.
Cred că ăsta e cel mai dureros tatuaj pe care l-am făcut până acum. Fiind colaborare și lucrează mai mulți oameni, durerea se adună din mai multe locuri și e destul de dureros.
I'm tattooed between my toes. Like literally, you could open my toes and I'm tattooed in between. So to me, those are some of the more painful areas, like on the bones and things like that. Also, the back of the thigh towards like the buttock, really, that's a tender spot as well. And you don't think that it would hurt, because you're always sitting on it. You think it would be like a tougher skin, so it's not going to hurt as bad, but that's a tender one as well. When I'm judging tattoos, I look at, you know, the texture of the skin and how the artist treats the tissue. That's a really big factor with tattooing, is how smooth you can get it in without damaging the tissue. If you damage the tissue and you're too heavy with like color or shading, the body will actually reject some of that, you know?
When I make my first tattoo, it was really interesting, because I don't know that time how deep can I do the needles, can I put the needles, and how we can mixing the colors or something, or maybe if we need to mixing the black or something. I don't know that time how we can do, and I don't push the skin too deep the first time, and after 6 days the tattoo is absolutely dismissed.
And it'll actually reject the pigment. It could cause scar tissue. So when I'm judging, I definitely look at the surface of the skin to see how the artist like actually applied the tattoo. Me personally, I've had both. I've had a lot of tattoos. Pretty much I have a whole body suit. So me personally, I've had people apply them perfectly, nice and light. They heal up really nice and the pigment stays in the tissue. I've also had the complete opposite, where they hit you too hard, they can damage the tissue, or what I call turning it to hamburger. So I've had that also in me, and that's not good, you know, because it will reject the ink. The body will actually, it's traumatic to the tissue. It's called traumatization of the tissue. So it'll actually reject the pigment that's put into it. So when I'm judging up there, I go off of, you know, experiences that I've had, that I've personally had happen to me, and just looking, you can clearly tell when you're looking at a tattoo if the tissue is left and it's kind of like still breathing, it's still alive, and it's still good, as opposed to being super seepy, kind of textury, like hamburger, you know, things like that. So I really get up kind of microscopically when I'm judging to kind of see how it was applied and how it's going to heal. We might be looking at like a very fresh tattoo on the main stage, but it might heal poorly, you know, and that's based off of looking at the tissue and how it was applied.
When I do my first tattoos, I don't use the gloves, you know, because it was really crazy, you know.
One of the important things with getting not only just a good artistic tattoo is making sure the artist is sterile. That's a big factor. You know, you don't want to live with something that you got from tattooing because it wasn't a sterile atmosphere. So one thing I look at it definitely is the professionalism, the sterility of the the artist and how they work and things like that. You know, so to me that's a huge factor. When I'm healing my own tattoos and taking care of them after I've chose my artist and I get tattooed by them, is keeping it clean, sterile. I don't oversaturate it. Your tissue's the largest organ in your body. Your skin's the largest organ, so it needs to breathe. So when I'm healing my tattoos, I typically I'll use like Bactine as an antiseptic, and then typically I'll use a non-scented like lotion with that Bactine, and I create like an antiseptic lotion. And that's something that I've personally been doing for 30-something years of getting tattooed. And if you saturate it too much, like with an ointment, and you cake on an ointment thinking you gotta cover it. No, you need the tissue to be able to breathe to properly heal. So I keep all that in mind. I keep in the sterility, my own sterility too. I'm always washing my hands. I make sure if I go get a new tattoo, I go home, wash my bed sheets first. I don't sleep with old sheets. I don't wear even a day-old clothing or a day-old towel. So I take a lot of things that are actually going to be in physical contact with the tattoo while it's healing, not just the aftercare product, but your sheets, your bed sheets, your clothing, the towels that you're washing with, So you really got to think about that, because if a tattoo, you typically can tell when a tattoo is going to heal good within the first 3 to 5 days. Those are the most crucial days of a tattoo healing, 3 to 5 days. And if you can do everything to get it off to kickstart it into a good healing process, then you're good. So that's all things I keep in account. Well, I know a lot about the history because I have one of the biggest collections in the United States. So Thomas Edison had a pen that perforated paper, and they would roll ink and it would make a copy. Well, a guy named Samuel Riley saw that, and he invented the electric tattoo machine. Before that, they all tattooed by hand, right? So the tattoo machine's been around since 1900s, right? So I have all the early builders, Percy Waters, Charlie Wagner, they were all tattooing in 1920s, 1930. New York City was the mecca of tattooing because the immigrants came over and started tattooing. But it was real unusual, it was mostly men. They'd tattoo people to go to the circus because they were unusual and they'd make money for being tattoo artists. People in the military or motorcycle gangs, they had tattoos. Now everybody's got a tattoo.
La început, într-adevăr, erau niște stigmatizări, oamenii erau etichetați, pentru că tot ce se știa despre tatuaj era ceva negativ, că e ceva ce nu trebuie să-ți faci și că doar un anumit segment de oameni au tatuaje. Știm cu toții care, ăia de la periferia societății, care au călcat strâmb sau care și-au făcut din asta un mod de viață, din a călca strâmb. Tatuajul era perceput și prezentat ca și când ar fi ceva care coboară omul, înjosește, nu respectă corpul.
I can talk about South America when I start, It was more like related with criminals, or people that were in the jail before. So that was a little bit difficult, I remember my family didn't accept that, and many people, you have a lot of people judging you, I think everywhere it's been like that.
Acum 24 de ani când m-am apucat, tatuajele erau un mare tabu. Era foarte criticați, categorizați, împărțiți, oamenii cu tatuaje.
Tattoo is part of the life now, you know. I mean, part of the day-by-day life. Nobody's seeing you. You're tattooed or not.
A fost așa câțiva ani buni și era greu. Era un job destul de rar, erau foarte puțini artiști în țară, în București cel puțin. Dar la un moment dat a apărut serialul de televiziune Miami Ink, care a adus și bine și rău în această industrie. În primul rând a trecut-o din underground în mainstream. Clar, lumea a început să se tatueze mult mai des, au văzut tatuajele cu alți ochi. E clar, i-a ajutat pe foarte multă lume. În același timp era un show destul de comercial și a atras majoritatea din clienți, a atras pe partea comercială, pe partea artistică mai puțin. Dar asta este oricum. Important e că cel mai bun pas a fost să aducă tatuajele din underground în mainstream și atunci cam toate categoriile de oameni au început să se tatueze fără niciun fel de restricții de societate și de acolo ăla a fost pasul cel mai mare. Și de acolo tot a urcat exponențial. Ca clienți, ca artiști și viața a crescut de la an la an, acum în ziua de azi față de ce era atunci, nu există comparație. Deci nu există. Atunci era un salon 2 în tot Bucureștiul, acum sunt 200.
In 1971, there were about 300 tattoo artists in the whole world. Now there's 250, and so there's hundreds of thousands of tattoo artists now. It's oversaturated. It became easier due to the availability of equipment. Used to be you had to make your own needles, mix your own ink. You had to know how to build a machine.
Când am început eu să lucrez, nu exista informație, nu aveam, era vid total de informație, nu știam de tatuaje decât de ce vedeam așa pe oameni care au terminat armata, pușcăria sau cazuri foarte, foarte rare care veneau din vestul Europei cu tatuaje. Eu am fost unul dintre norocoșii care am văzut niște tatuaje reușite la început. Tatăl meu era marinar, avea niște tatuaje făcute rudimentar în școala militară, însă la niște întâlniri pe care le-am făcut, care le aveau ei cu foștii colegi de școala militară, am văzut niște capitani de navă care aveau tatuaje color făcute prin porturile din Europa, Amsterdam, nu știu, și am rămas foarte profund marcat. Pe vremea aceea, să ajungi să îți faci un tatuaj sau să faci un tatuaj, trebuia să parcurgi un drum lung, care începea de la căutări, de la informare, până la a depăși niște obstacole tehnice care erau atunci fenomenale. Adică nu aveai o mașină de tatuaj, nu știai cum arată, trebuia să o construiești. Mi-aduc aminte, când am construit prima mașină de tatuat, mă învățase un tip care făcuse pușcărie prin vestul Europei să-mi construiesc dintr-un motoraj de Walkman. Mi-am dat seama că eu nu aveam un Walkman și nici din prietenii mei nimeni nu avea un Walkman stricat pe vremea aia. Nu aveam așa ceva, nu aveam acces la așa ceva.
When I learned, like I said, you had to solder your own needles. If my machine breaks, I can rebuild it in a half hour. If these new machines break, you have to send it back to the manufacturer. They're made in Germany, they're made in China. They don't know anything about real tattooing. I say, we're tattoo artists, they're artists that tattoo because they buy everything, plug it together, buy the ink, and they draw. We had to learn to make all that stuff. It's different.
În momentul de față, datorită interesului mare pentru tatuaje și din partea celor care vor să facă tatuaje și din partea celor care își doresc un tatuaj, asta a făcut ca foarte multe companii care produc aparatură medicală sau alt fel de electronice să intre pe această piață și să producă mașini de tatuat, accesorii care sunt foarte, foarte ușor de folosit. Acum dai 2 clicuri, te-ai uitat pe internet, ai venit, astăzi te decizi, mâine îți vine kit-ul, începi să tatuezi uitându-te la un documentar pe YouTube.
Like when I started 25 years ago, we didn't have really like internet, social media or anything like that. It was just like my promotional thing was just to drive my car around with my portfolio and going from shop to shop. And to contact people, it was like way harder because I didn't even have a cell phone back then. It was like, I know it's crazy to say, but we were just like on the road constantly doing convention to make people know that you're here, you know. And yeah, it was way harder than nowadays. Like today, like anyone can do tattoo watching tutorials on YouTube, having great machines, great colors. Like 25 years ago, I mean, it came a long way. The tattoo industry came like really good, yeah.
Din punct de vedere al comunității, diferența între acum 24 de ani și în prezent, da, este mare diferență. Chiar dacă atunci eram puțini, eram foarte separați. Pentru că, gândește-te că înainte ca să înveți această meserie îți lua foarte mult timp, pentru că nu aveai internetul, nu aveai acces la informații cum este în ziua de azi. Și nimeni nu arăta la nimeni. Doar dacă întrupeai spatele ca ucenic 5 ani și munceai, spălai pe jos, doar așa se putea învăța, într-un salon și apoi încet învățai secrete. Era foarte greu să înveți adevăratele secrete din industrie.
I came back from Vietnam, I was in the army, and I didn't have any tattoos, but I was always an artist. So I asked a guy and I paid him to teach me, but it was kind of like a hobby.
În ziua de azi, având acces la informație, extraordinar, unul la mână, doi la mână, au apărut foarte multe seminarii pentru toate stilurile și pentru toate persoanele din oricine vrea acces la, vrei să înveți, da, ai acces la cele mai bune informații. E foarte repede și instant.
Mai de mult lucrurile trebuiau, vrând nevrând, durau un pic mai mult și se făceau un pic mai greu pentru și omul avea timp să proceseze. Acum tatuajele se vor a fi instant. Tot din cauza acestui trend de a face tatuaje mari, repede. Eu mai de mult când vorbeam de un proiect ca un sleeve sau un leg sleeve, era ceva de durată, la care erau foarte multe ore de muncă. Acum uitați-vă și voi într-o convenție, se pun doi oameni, termină un picior într-un weekend, adică practic te-ai trezit fără el, te-ai culcat, când te-ai trezit a doua oră, ai undit mai proiectul.
How I got to this point, or how hard it was to come to this point now, is actually I grow up really like old school. That means I don't got these kind of clients from the first time on. I was sitting in a tattoo shop and was doing walk-ins. I did all the tattoos what's coming in, and that's how I growed up in the first years. I have to do what the client wants. And I start actually getting my clients out of my quality when people's coming back of that what I did the week before. And I think this keeps me a little more down to the bottom if I see it now. There's young artists coming up, they never did like walk-ins, they never did like line works, they never did all these ground level basic artist stuff what you actually have to learn. And now they start just with big stuff and getting like a feeling of, okay, I say it like straight, like getting the feeling of rock stars with the big pieces. And I think it's nicer to grow up like from everything on to work for that what you got, because I really respect if I got every single client with such a big work. If they coming and they trust me like that, it's not for me normal that they coming like, Randy, you can do whatever you want, here's my theme, and you have my whole sleeve or my whole leg sleeve or back piece or whatever. For me, is it like a really, I'm really thankful if someone comes to me and let me do on his body what I can do. And this is for me the most important thing, and that's why, yeah, I respect this the most, that I can have another human is coming and give me his body to change it for his whole life. This is the thing what I was working for. After 25 years, I have it and I still respect it.
Well, the most important for me at this moment of my career, after 30 years that I'm talking, is trying to be original and make something different from the rest. Because there is too many people now tattooing, you know, and they're actually very good artists, you know. But I see too many of the same thing, you know. And I think probably if you want to make the difference, you have to make something completely out of the game, you know.
Mie întotdeauna mi-a plăcut competiția, mi-a plăcut să lucrez în mijlocul unor artiști buni, așa evoluezi și tu. Așa, fiind o persoană competitivă, mi-a plăcut să trag tare, să învăț și mai mult, să devii și mai bun, indiferent de critici și de oricine ce zicea. Apăreau artiști, bineînțeles, de la an la an, de la lună la lună, din ce în ce mai mulți, foarte buni și în ziua de azi. Sunt artiști extraordinari pe piață, tineri care de-abia au început și un talent extraordinar. Și eu, în continuare, cred că este un lucru extraordinar, pentru că ridică foarte mult calitatea generală al tatuajelor din țară. Și este un un lucru la nivel internațional, un lucru foarte bun pentru țara noastră. Pentru că încep și clienții de afară să vină în țară doar să se tatueze, să aprecieze România ca nivel de artiști. Călătoresc foarte mult și chiar am primit foarte multe laude de genul ăsta. România, artiști foarte buni. Și eu îl văd ca un lucru bun și că pe mine m-a ajutat foarte mult.
Meseria de tatuator a ajuns să fie una respectată, tatuajele sunt la o calitate mult, nici nu se compară cu ce vorbim noi acum 20 de ani sau mai mult. Însă, în momentul de față, tatuajul a devenit, după părerea mea, oarecum banal. Până acum mulți ani, când vedeam un om tatuat pe stradă sau undeva, știam clar, puteam să-l abordez fără să am vreo problemă, aveam multe lucruri în comun și exista acea pasiune de tatuaj. Acum văd tatuaje la toată lumea, oameni cu care n-am nimic în comun și am în comun sau avem în comun exact ceea ce pentru mine e cel mai sfânt, tatuajul, și poate pentru el e ceva ce a venit așa, ca o pasiune de asta trecătoare.
The first convention in the United States was 1976. And all the old guys were there, and then young guys like me, came in, and they probably thought we were crazy. But I had the opportunity to meet a lot of really famous old tattoo artists and be friends with them. And then the last 4 or 5 years, all the guys in their 80s have passed. So now I'm becoming one of the oldest American tattoo artists, but I don't feel old. But that's what happens if you live long enough,
So actually, the tattoo industry, like it is today, is something completely different than back then. Sometimes I don't know why people relate this with something ancient, that it was religion, rituals, a process of converting people from when you're a teenager, become a man or something like that, you become tattoo, you start to get tattooed, the warrior. It was a ritual scene or religion, so our thing now is completely just static, that's it, and completely empty.
I'm San Pedro from Spain, from Burgos, from the north of Spain, and this is my first time here in Bucharest. This part is from Fred, and mine are from the nature, and I work like illustrator too. So I try to make a bridge between the illustration and the tattoo. There are tattoo collectors that only want a small piece, like a patch. After maybe, I think that every time more appears a type of customer that don't have tattoos and want really big pieces, and you can see customers from with two tattoo artists in all the body. I prefer black work so far, pure black, and make like the graphic like a brush, like the ancient Japanese style. I really like that.
Hey, my name is Mike. I come from Mexico, from Tulum, and I love the pre-Hispanic history in Mexico. That's why I have the inspiration in the Mexican culture, and in the Mexican culture they use a lot of colors. That's why I love to use the bright colors in my work. It's my first time in Bucharest, and I want to try to come back again, of course. Amazing. I came here to Spain and to travel in Amsterdam and UK to make some guests, and now I come here to Romania to make the convention. We're gonna travel to the Transylvania, of course, and we're gonna make here a little tours for food tours and some party here with my friends, of course.
I'm from the Netherlands. I live near Amsterdam. I'm 53 years old, and I started with tattooing I think about 5-6 years ago. Only then. I liked it all my life, but because of my occupation, I didn't start with it. So, and I'm now started it. It's going out of hand now, but she's now doing my back, and then a little bit close it all together. I will be busy for a year or two, I think. In my working life, I'm an accountant, so I don't usually show tattoos at my office. It's very close to me, and it's just for myself. And well, sometimes I like to show it, but it's not the main reason. Now I have my own company. I can make the rules, but I don't show it. Not everyone likes it, so it's okay. Well, I started here with the name of my wife and my kids. I've been in the hospital a few times for some diseases, and it was a very difficult time for me. And then I realized that the most precious thing I have is my wife and my kids. So all this is a tribute to them. This is the guardian angel, my wife who is protecting me. This is it's called the Threatened Swan. It's a painting in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam. It's a swan who protects his eggs. Well, now it protects my wife and my children. And so it goes on. Here's a tiger watching it over. The story goes on and on and on. My back is tattooed with a nightmare from me from when I was 6 years old. I was watching a movie with my dad about an Egyptian pyramid, and there was a curse on it with snakes and mummies and a lot of darkness. And the years after, I always had nightmares through that movie. So it made my life for years and years, and now I like to put all the nightmare on my back, and I turned my back to it.
Primul tatuaj l-am ales cumva în funcție de pasiunile pe care le am. Practic, jumătatea din brațul acesta, eu am lucrat în auto foarte mult timp și atunci am făcut ceva reprezentativ, plus motocicletele și cam asta a fost punctul de plecare. Ideea este că după ce mi-am făcut brațul acesta, la 2 luni sau 3 luni distanță, ceva de genul, l-am făcut și pe celălalt, pe dreptul. Și cumva mi se părea că arată ciudat, adică pe măsură ce ți faci, se pare că arată ciudat fără ceva lângă. Am ajuns în punctul în care mă deranjează pielea goală. Ieri, de exemplu, am participat la categoria de tatuaje vindecate, unde am câștigat locul 1. Iar anul trecut am participat la Black and Grey, unde am câștigat locul 3. Am avut un proiect cu spate full, făcut pe 2 zile. Sunt într-adevăr zone mai dureroase decât altele, însă în cazul meu nu cred că am o toleranță neapărat mai crescută, doar că mi le doresc foarte mult și atunci nu mai contează cumva partea asta de durere.
I always was really into the Japanese style and Oriental style, of course. So first I wanted to go to James for apprenticement, but he told me if I would like to learn from him, he can teach me, but he can teach me only like realism or super realism. But my passion was in the Oriental stuff, and he told me if I would like to do some Oriental, I have to do my own way. So it was a very hard decision for me because I was very young, and a very talented, famous person told me I can be his apprenticement. But then I decided to stay with the Oriental. So that's why I went to some shop in Budapest, and then I did a portfolio. I had a few sleeves, Japanese sleeves, and I got an invitation by James to work with him. And I worked with him for now like 2.5 years in this shop, and it's very cool because they are doing realism and bioorganic, and they can teach me something what I couldn't think of, because we thinking our side of the tattooing, it's not the same, because I think in the Japanese and Oriental stuff, and they think in realism, and they can tell me some thing but I couldn't think of in the tattooing. So it's a very interesting way to learn, but I can learn a lot.
My name is Kushi. I'm an artist. I do the jewelry and the sculpture stuff. Every year I travel around the world and I do some trophies for the tattoo shows. I think Romania is a really special country, have many history and many different cultures. I think I should inspire the local culture. I think the last year, 2023, and Costi showed me a really cool story about Detaliu, the king of Dacia. Yeah, so I checked Google, searched the story about the Detaliu, and I'm really interested about the story. And then I designed a half skull face and half skull Detaliu face trophy. And also I do lots of similar jewelry. You can see this is one of the bracelets I made for last year. And this year I think I must continue my idea and follow my idea. So I do another trophy like this. You know this? It's a Dracula. When Dracula face come out, the skull. When Dracula face split and the skull come out. So that's my work.
Eu mi-am dorit să fiu tatuat de Bob Tyrell pentru că sunt un mare fan. Unul la mână, e o legendă în tatuaj, doi la mână, rezonăm ca și artiști, suntem ambii la chitări. Muzica e artă, tatuajele sunt artă, e normal să rezonăm unii cu alții și i-am spus să-mi facă ce-și dorește el, ce simte, cu ce rezonează. Normal că mi-a făcut un scal, pentru că asta e semnătura lui. Iar în rest, ce pot să spun? Oamenii de aici sunt unici. Probabil că ai simțit și tu. E o stare pe care nu o simți în altă parte. Doar așa, în contextul ăsta. Sunt oameni frumoși, modești, care au stat cu burta pe carte, dacă pot să-i spun așa, și locația este mișto, oamenii sunt mișto și ăsta e motivul pentru care sunt aici. Acum că mă și tatuez, e o cireașă pe tort. Dar oricum veneam pentru că sunt dependent de starea asta.
Well, I can say that most of the people is following me and getting tattooed. My clients are people that like more dark art or are into music, you know, like heavy metal, death metal music, you know, black metal music. I'm tattooing a lot of musicians. Also because I'm living in Poland, in Krakow, Poland, is one of the cities in Europe which are, I don't know, hundreds of metal bands, you know, and it's kind of a scene there which one very dark, you know, the atmosphere. A lot of dark artists as well, you know, like people that is painters, you know, or just people that like this kind of stuff, you know. So most of my clients, for example, are searching or trying to reach me because they know that I like this type of scene.
It can get tricky at times. Sometimes I have like people working for like emergency services, hospitals, lawyers, police officers, military, and I'm always surprised, like I wouldn't expect them to ask for my stuff. So sometimes it's really hard for me to tell, like, oh, this guy, I'm sure he wants this, and then I'm completely wrong. You cannot tell really, like you'd be surprised what people ask and what they do.
I think I'm like this, like shoemaker, you know, with no shoes, you know, so I commit more to my work than to upgrading myself, you know, and every time I plan something and I meet my friends and we have work together in the shop or in my shop, great artists, great friends comes and we do guest spots together. I don't feel like taking their time and getting tattoo on me. We rather spend some, like, if we have free time, we go. I want to show them around, or, you know, like if they are in my stuff. I will start my sleeve someday. You know? I sit down for a few times and I try to organize. Okay, I go with Benjamin, I go with Randy, I go with my friends, you know, maybe. Okay, what I should get, you know, and then I start looking. I know I will give the freedom of doing the way they want, but I still need to decide on object, what I want to get on me, you know. And I'm not spending time because I get tired on doing this for my clients. I deciding and helping to decide for my clients every day. And that's why I don't feel doing for myself anymore. You know, like I need more time for that.
My tattoos are actually not really random, but pretty much. I actually started tattooing myself before I actually became a tattoo artist. That was a big mistake because I didn't know how bad it feels, you know, to tattoo yourself. And then I had like other people that I was looking up to, like continuing for me.
My mentor is Boris from Hungary. Is a well-known artist. Everybody knows him. It's my master, and since I start tattooing, I really look up to him, and I learn a lot from him. And all these pieces, what I got from him is my whole side here. This is actually the most important tattoos for me, because all the tattoos what I got was for me like teaching time, teaching stuff. And in this time I learned the most parts, and that's why I'm thankful for these tattoos and for Boris to give me all these knowings what it makes actually now what I can do, you know. These tattoos, what I do now, I learn actually from that time on, and even from that tattoos what I got from them.
I think if you have a mentor as a tattoo artist, you should do everything you can to go collect a tattoo or collect multiple tattoos from your mentors, you know. Some of my mentors are going to be Guy Aitchison, Timothy Hoyer, you know, Paul Booth, Philip Liu, some of the gods of tattooing like that. So I wear a lot of Guy Aitchison work. I think that Guy Aitchison, he's out of Illinois, and he's one of the godfathers of like biomech and bioorganic tattooing, which I really like a lot, you know. So collecting tattoos from him gives you a chance to see how he applies the tattoos to your own body, you know, and kind of like I said earlier, with you judging tattoos, you actually learn new styles and approaches and how people are doing these new tattoos. Watching your mentors teaches you how they're doing that as well. So then you can go back to your studio and you can apply it with your own tattooing as well.
Sunt artiști pe care am apreciat toată cariera. Sunt artiști noi care erau la început și mi-au plăcut foarte mult evoluția și am zis, imediat îți dai seama de un artist nou că va fi mare. Îl vezi cât de mult efort depune și cât de pasionat e. Și după 12 de ani am început să-mi dau seama și imediat îi vezi. Da, vei fi mare. Simplu. Cum, bă? Dacă te comporți așa cum ești acum, cu pasiunea asta și asta, e simplu, cheia succesului este cât de pasionat ești, cât de mult îți place și cât timp și efort depui, sacrificii depui, atât trebuie. Rest nu trebuie. Eu nu cred în talent. Talentul este doar măsura cu cât de mult îți place să faci lucrul ăla. Dacă ți-ți place enorm de mult să faci lucrul ăla, dar enorm de mult, atunci sigur te vei pricepe, pentru că îți va place și nu va fi o zi de muncă, te distrezi în fiecare zi. Și n-ai cum să nu evoluezi.
What I know is not a talent. This is learning things. I'm learned of fucking lots of years. So now I'm 50. I will be 50 next year, and the last few years I was a contact for a teacher from a Hungarian art university, and he teach me the new things for color theories, you know. So I think we need to learn every time.
I think the key is when you surround yourself with people, creative people, you know. You have a nice environment at the studio, your place of work, you have like a guest artist that are coming from all over the world, like my studio, for example, in Poland. I'm very lucky because of that, you know. I have all the time, I'm working with an amazing people, you know, they're having all the time like a guest artist, you know, that inspiring me, you know. And that thing keeps me going, you know, and learning every day. It's an exchange, you know. I inspire them, that way they come to my studio, but then they inspire me, you know. So I think that's the deal.
Sunt 10 convenții în țară, plus minus, nu l-am numărat exact. Și ne întâlnim cu aceeași plăcere și ne salutăm și ne face plăcere să ne petrecem timp împreună. Tocmai petrecând timp împreună și socializând foarte mult și așa am reușit să ne dezvoltăm toți, să ridicăm și piața, comunitatea, să se poată crea evenimente de genul ăsta.
Most conventions you go because you want to meet your friends and same people, you know, you hang out around the world from 18 and maybe 19 years ago, and the community is strong, so we always respect each other, and there is some groups, you know, styles, and always You know, the dinner tables is like this group of this style, more on this dinner table, more on this style, you know. But in general, we respect each other's works, and it's great.
For all the viewers, is it actually really important that the tattoo is just only one thing what you can take, what nobody can take from you. This is just only one thing you can get in your life, what you take to your grave. And that's why don't save money on it and don't save time on it, whatever. Do whatever you want, search your artist, doesn't matter how much you want or it doesn't matter how long it takes. You got it once and you have just this one skin and nobody can take it. This is the most important thing I can tell to tattoos.
You have to be really committed to get some. Of course, you can go and get some small pieces all over the place and make the hipster stuff, you know, like just cool and for now and forget about it. That's one way to approach tattoo, and then it's another way if you're actually planning to go like full sleeves, body suit, you know, then definitely you have to really choose your style you feel you would be most comfortable of walking with for the rest of your life.
Eu totdeauna mă gândesc la treaba asta. Eu tatuez 10 clienți pe zi, poate nu, exagerez, 1, 2 pe zi, 20 pe săptămână. Poate nici nu mai țin minte, nu le mai țin minte fețe, poate țin minte modelul dacă e unul special, dar pentru omul ăla este un moment în care eu i-am astupat o bucată de piele. Și eu totdeauna țin cont de treaba asta. Mă gândesc că e un om care și-a pus niște speranțe acolo, are niște așteptări, și-a ținut niște bănuți, au venit, adică el așteaptă ziua aia de o săptămână, 2, de o lună, de ce știu cât timp, numai de când s-a programat, poate și își dorește tatuajul de ani de zile și doar acum îl poate pune în practică.
It's very important to talk with artists, make a consultation, get the feeling of the artist too. You know, if you don't have good feeling with the artist, even if you like his style, maybe it's not the right choice to go for. You know, maybe you need to look for somebody else. You know, because you will remember you spend 100 hours sometimes, you know, or more with the same person. So it's not only the design you have to commit. The person who does, they have to give good energy too. You know, so it's important. So if you have all this combination, you choose right, you never regret it.
But the most important thing is actually the people you meet. Because you'll meet people, and if you pay attention, they'll make you a better person, and maybe you can help them. I said the rest of it's just a little pretty picture. Doesn't really matter. But if you can affect, some people, they get a tattoo because they lost a loved one. Some people get a tattoo because they just got married. They remember an occasion in their life. You know, a birthday, they turned 18, their mom and dad died or something. So the really good part is interacting with people. That's why I travel now. I mean, I've tattooed so long, I've tattooed everything. But you meet some people that might change your life a little bit, and that's the best part of tattooing.
Ce vreți să facem? Nu, mă pun pe scaun? Am început bine. Acum mă simt super epuizat, în primul rând. Mă simt bine, mă simt bucuros că am văzut toți artiștii că au un vibe foarte pozitiv, foarte bun. Îți mulțumiți și asta e cel mai important. Deci asta pun pe primul loc. Ce fac după? Am încheiat 2 venuri, plecăm la drum. Plecăm 2 zile pentru că sunt foarte mulți artiști care n-au văzut încă România și vor să viziteze, bineînțeles, Castelul Bran, vor să viziteze alte castele și ca bonus o să mergem să dormim în Sighișoara ca să-l vadă într-adevăr ceva mult mai wow decât castelul care e turistic. Omul care nu știe ce înseamnă Convenție Tatuaje să înțeleagă că la un eveniment de genul acesta se adună unii dintre cei mai buni tatuatori din lume și din țară, clar că este internațională. Are posibilitatea să vină să se tatueze la unii dintre cei mai buni tatuatori ai lumii. Are posibilitatea să vină să vadă o grămadă de prieteni, oameni faini, pentru că despre asta este vorba. Pentru că unește, o convenție de tatuaje unește acei oameni care au aceeași pasiune, unește și adună sub același acoperiș oameni cu aceleași pasiuni. Și ai un vibe bun, ai o chestie aia care e ceva pozitivă. și ieși din zona aia ta de confort, de acasă, am ajuns acasă, ați obosit, hai să-mi aprind televizorul, lasă dracu televizorul ăla și vină să te întâlnești cu viața ta, cu oamenii tăi, cu ceea ce îți place ție de fapt. Asta e cel mai important.